Pack your bags, let's take a ride. 5 minutes flat and we'll explore the wide with Forrest Kelly. It's travel time. It's the best 5-minute travel podcast. Let's go!
Hi, I'm James from the Winging It Travel podcast, and I'm a travel expert.
All right, James, as we can tell from your voice, a very heavy accent from where?
Norwich in England/UK. I don't know how to tell people which one it is. There's 3 ways, right? So let's go England.
When did you get the bug to start traveling worldwide?
That was 2010, where I went to Australia to watch the cricket. I couldn't believe that existed, that sort of place. So then I spent the next 2 years saving for a trip whilst I finished my music degree in London. So I saved money, and then 2013 is where I would normally say is where I started to really travel the world and get out there and see as many places as I can.
You said cricket. So
yeah,
you're a big fan. So you traveled all that way from England to Australia to just check out cricket?
Yeah, that's a 24-hour flight. Just go and watch cricket. Yeah. We went to Perth on the west coast and then Melbourne. So 2 cities, 2 test matches. And I'm not sure if your listeners are familiar with the cricket history, but for England, that was a historic victory, that series. So that's good to be there.
In 2010?
Yeah.
And this all took place in Perth?
No, there's 5 games, 5 cities. So Perth, Melbourne, Adelaide, Brisbane, Sydney.
Wow, and you traveled to all of them?
No, just 2. I'd love to do all 5 one day, but that would require probably 8 weeks of travel in Australia, and that's expensive because Australia is expensive. So some people do it, but that would be the dream in the future, I think. Yeah, I worked in the southwest region, which is like a wine region. That's about 3 hours from Perth, but that really is small towns. So Perth is the only city for miles.
Right.
I think the closest place is Bali, and that's 3.5-hour flight. So it takes longer to get to Adelaide in the same country. It's pretty crazy.
Gotcha. Okay, so then you saved up for the 2 years, and then when did you start the podcast? And you thought, okay, I'm meeting some interesting people here that...
Podcast was almost 10 years later in COVID, right? Because we couldn't travel. So I thought I'd start a podcast about travel so we can talk about it because we couldn't do it. Unfortunately, in hindsight, I'd love to start this in 2013, right? In the infancy of podcasting. But obviously, there's always the people who figure that out first, right? Who get there first. But yeah, so the podcast started in 2021. Obviously, I've met a lot of people from the travels to come onto the podcast. So I kept in touch with those guys for 10 years, right, up to that point. And a lot of them came on to talk about certain parts of my trips up to that point. And then I went for a year's travel last year. So I quit my job and I went for a year travel with the podcast on the road. So that's quite an interesting experience last year. And as we speak today, I've just come back from a trip in Central America, which I'll be producing a sort of podcast series for in February and March.
Your job, you quit your job, what was your job?
IT, cloud-based solutions, architect. Yeah, it's probably the best way to say it. It's pretty dreary. It's nothing exciting.
Right, but it's your career, and to sever the ties and go into traveling for a year, that had to be a little shaky, a little nervous about that?
No, probably that's definitely the right decision. No nerves about it.
Yeah.
I think it's been working up to that point because of COVID. There's nothing that could have stopped me, I don't think. Because I saved some money, right? So I had some plan in place to do that. So it wasn't just like on the cusp or on the whim. I think it was pretty much planned from 2022, 2023. So 2022, 2021. Yeah, we kind of made sure we had enough to go with and come back to.
When something you love starts to rise to the top, it's an easy decision to, okay, I'm going to gravitate to that.
Yeah, the difficult portion of it is coming back. That's probably the most difficult part because you've got to figure out where we're gonna live, what job, how much money is left in the pot, that sort of stuff, right? So I think the first 2 months of this year was quite tough just to figure that stuff out. But we got there in the end, and what a trip! It was an amazing trip.
Now, where did you say you went? Southern?
On the trip, I went to Europe for a month and then Middle East.
We've touched down and landed. The episode's done with 5 quick minutes of travel and fun.
Touchdown. That completes this episode.
Join Forrest Kelly for the next big show. The best 5-minute travel podcast. Let's go.